once again.
Hey people, what's up? This is Robert Anton. So you want to be a singer? Why you want to do that? Okay, well, a new year has begun. And someone asked me to talk just a little bit about taxes. And I guess I'm going to talk about it mainly from a singer, actor standpoint. It might relate to several other people and several other things. But let's get started. As a performer, an independent performer, you on a lot of jobs you're an independent contractor, and that means that you get all sorts of things that you can deduct. I guess I'll start by saying some things you'll be paid on are the W-2 form. In the W-2, it's like having a regular job because they take out taxes, they do the Social Security deductions, and they do the state, city, federal, all that good stuff. So that's the normal way you get paid. A lot of times you get paid with a check, but it will be no taxes taken out. Generally, that is filled out on a 1099. And at the end of the year, if you make at a certain job, at any one job, if you make more than $500 or $600, they have to report it. So you'll have to pay taxes on that. Sometimes you get paid cash. This is where a lot of people get in trouble. You are supposed to report everything that you make. Whether you be a singer, an actor, whether you be, let's say, a waiter, anywhere you make tips, you are supposed to, by law, report everything you make. Now, nobody does that. But, you know, if you make a large sum of money, this is my phone, just a second. I'm not going to answer that, it's blocked. If you make a large sum of money, you definitely should report that. Now, yes, you have to pay taxes on it. But I think one of the good things it does when reporting everything is when it comes time to say you want to buy a house, you want to get credit, you want loans, it shows that you have made so much money per year. And that's a good thing. You know, even like say you're looking for an apartment and you have to prove your income. If you haven't reported it on your taxes, on your federal taxes, then you can't. They'll say, I made so much in cash, and they'll be like, well, it's not here, so obviously you didn't make it. So you might not qualify for some things. So I would report a majority of everything I make. I report a majority of everything I make to stay out of trouble. But in that, on a W-2, a lot of times you just take the standard deduction. But when you have a 1099, you take all kinds of deductions. Okay, so the way that you go about this is stay organized, people. It's so easy. I'm a Virgo, so I make lists, and I'm very, very organized and everything naturally. But let me tell you one thing that I do that's like crazy, and tax people really don't like you to do stuff like this, but I put everything in a shoebox or an envelope or whatever. But I do at the end of the year or the beginning of the year before I go in for my taxes. I take everything out, I organize it, I put it into whatever categories it's supposed to be in, so that it's organized. So like right now, just a small envelope that has all my receipts and stuff in it. Another bigger envelope that has all my receipts and stuff in it. And I have to go through those very, very soon and, separate everything. I keep a planner, which for me, like when I get tips and stuff like that, I'll generally write them in the planner so that I know, that I've gotten a tip from certain jobs and stuff, because even on my gigs, a lot of times we'll get tips, like especially on the weddings, we'll get tips, afterwards they'll tip, sometimes anywhere from $10 to like $100 per person will get a tip. So this is the planner, and it also, I can go back years and years and see what I did and who I worked with, and telephone numbers and contacts, so if I ever need to get in contact with people. So just be very organized. Tax professionals, don't wait till the last minute. Get your stuff together. book somebody early, even if it's like, the middle of February, book somebody early. If you're going to have someone do your taxes. If you're with an agency, I was with Actors Equity for a while, and what I did is they do free taxes, so you'd have to go in, you have to get a spot, and they would do your taxes for free. And what I did is I had it done for free 2 or 3 times, really watched them and saw what they did, and then I started doing it on my own. Right now I do my personal taxes on TurboTax, and what I like about them is they ask you questions about everything that you have, every deduction you might have, so they generally don't miss anything, and then they point out things that you might be able to get that you might not know about, that are something that's new for the year and stuff. I do that for my personal taxes, but for my business taxes, I have my own corporation, Plan Time Productions, and I take that to a tax professional, and they do that. And I did that for the first time last year, and he did my taxes for 2 years, and I'll do that again this year. And there are so many things that you can take deductions for. As a performer, I can take deductions for movies, for going to shows, for CDs that I buy and music that I buy, many times for transportation to auditions and to gigs, because I generally rent gigs. I usually rent a car to go to gigs because I can go anywhere within the tri-state area, or I say that I'll go anywhere within the tri-state area. But I've been to Rhode Island. I'm from New York. I've been to Rhode Island on gigs. I've been to Philadelphia. I've been to Maine. So wherever they send me, I generally go. A lot of times if it's a really long way, they'll book you and keep you overnight, book your hotel overnight and all that, and they'll actually pay for your transportation there. But I take those deductions. I rent a car if I'm just going, to Connecticut or to New Jersey or to Long Island. And you can deduct those things, and that includes insurance, gas, sometimes mileage. If you own a car, you can deduct so much per mile. Let's say if you're out of town on a gig, you can deduct like your food, my telephone, my internet access, because I use my telephone for business. I use my internet for access, so I deduct a portion of that. If you get like a service because you need to have a service in order to answer your calls when you're unavailable. If you have a P.O. box because you need a P.O. box for people to send you things, for business purposes, then you can deduct things like that. There are so many different deductions that you can take. There are books out on it, so I suggest that you look at the books. If you have someone who does your taxes, when you get your taxes done by someone, a professional, at any agency, even for free, ask questions, people, because a lot of times you can do this on your own, but you have to have a start-off point. You have to know what you can deduct and what you can't, and then you have to save your receipts, and then it's all generally a matter of just adding it up and putting it in the right box. If you do get a professional, you still should know as much as you can so that you can save the right receipts and you can bring them in. If you have questions about something that you bought, and you can take it in and ask your tax professional, and you can say, well, I bought this for so-and-so, but I've been using it for, work and blah, 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 and they'll say, well, maybe you should take a percentage of that. If I buy clothing for work, or if I have to rent a costume or something like that, that goes, I can take that as a deduction. There's so many things that I can't go into, but just think about it, and get your things together. Keep your, it's always about being organized, because when you're organized, anybody can help you. If you have all of your receipts and you've identified the things that you can take. If you keep your checks, I generally pay for everything by check. So if I'm in the studio, I pay by check. If I pay someone to do a gig for me, anything like that, I generally pay by check. That way I can keep my checks, and it shows, if any problems come up, I can show that I wrote a check for this, that the check cleared, who it cleared to, and all that information. So this is just, there's so much to it, and this is just a little short, brief introduction. If you have questions, make sure to ask. If I don't know, maybe there's someone I can refer you to. And that's that. Yeah, okay.